every Saturday. Local chefs create savory and artistic dishes for you to enjoy making in your own home. So add a new recipe to your collection that is sure to be a family favorite here at Scenic Vantage Point.
Welcome to What's Cooking at the Market with Port Huron Hospital. I'm Sarah Tate with Port Huron Hospital Foundation. We're here at Vantage Point Farmers Market in Port Huron with our celebrity chef, Nick Cavis from Cavis's Grill. Nick, thanks for coming with us today.
Thank you very much, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know that we're making two dishes today, one being hummus and the other pronounce it for me?
Moussaka.
Moussaka.
Moussaka is a classic Greek dish.
Okay.
This recipe's been in my family for years.
Okay.
So I figured I'd share it with you guys. And hummus is something that I've just learned recently, but I found to be a very healthy dish. So I wanted to show that as well.
All right, great. So what are we making first today?
First, we're going to make the moussaka.
Okay.
And we're going to walk you through each step. I want to remind people that when we have recipes, you don't have to follow the recipe exact. The recipe is kind of a guideline. It's not a formula. You can tailor this dish to suit your taste buds.
Okay.
And things like that. So I'll show you how I do it. And then just remember, taste as you go, season as you go, and we'll go through it.
All right, sounds great. So let's talk about what are the first ingredients that are going to go into this, and what are some of the things that you could actually pick up down here at the farmer's market to put in there?
Moussaka is basically a vegetable lasagna, but it also has some ground beef in it as well. It could be ground beef, could be ground lamb, ground pork, ground turkey if you want to make it more healthy, or a combination of some of the meats to add a little flavor.
Okay.
It's like a three-step process when you're making moussaka. The first step would be to get the meat, brown the meat.
Okay.
You set that to the side. Next step would be to take your vegetables, you clean them, you cut them, you grill them, set those to the side, and then you make your bechamel sauce.
Okay.
Once you have all three processes finished, is when you put them all together like a casserole and bake it in the oven for 1 hour at 350 degrees.
Okay, all right, so you ready to get started?
Let's get started and I'll show you how I make moussaka.
Sounds good.
Okay, first we're gonna saute the ground beef. So we're gonna take an onion, which I have right here. I'll show you how to chop an onion. The recipe calls for 2 onions. That recipe means either 2 small onions or 1 large one would suffice. Basically, you cut the ends off the onion, so you have a flat surface to lay on.
So there is a proper way to cut an onion.
Onion is probably the most common thing that people cut themselves on when they use knives. So the key when you're cutting anything is make sure your fruit or vegetable is stable. Cut a flat portion of it and keep that on the cutting board.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, we're peeling the onion. Once we peel it, we discard all the extras into the garbage, keep the cutting board clean. I am a proponent of keeping everything organized, and organized means safe in the kitchen, especially when dealing with these tools. Then we slice the onion, flat part down, slice the onion into little strips. It doesn't have to be cut perfectly. It says minced, which is a small dice, but it doesn't have to be done perfect.
All right. And it's just 1 full onion that goes into the recipe?
Either 1 large onion or 2 small ones, depending on what you have available. And the kind of onion doesn't really matter too much. It all varies. You're going to saute it off, and by the time you mix it together with everything else, the onion is just a little added flavor.
All right.
So there's half the onion. Now the extra core here, I just cut it right out and discard that as well. Okay. And when cutting, sometimes when you're coming down on the downside, it's a little dangerous, so you flip it around. So if your knife slips, it slips away from your fingers. You don't have to worry about any...
we don't want to be taken to Port Huron Hospital emergency room.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
All right, so then we chop all the onions. Once we get the onions chopped, we will throw that in a saute pan.
All right, and how long do we saute it for till they're
brown
or just soft? Or?
We sweat them. When I say sweating, I mean some of the juices start coming out of the onion.
Okay.
And as soon as you have that done, we'll continue with the rest.
Okay.
So here, we will put the onions in our saute pan.
And do you saute in an olive oil or butter, or what is your
The recipe calls for butter.
Okay.
I use olive oil.
Yep.
I'm Greek, so us Greeks, we like to use olive oil in everything. Everything we can. So
and do you it's a little healthier?
It is olive oil. Olive oil is a little healthier than butter. Just in moderation, just enough olive oil so it doesn't stick.
All right.
So I put it in on a medium-high heat. This is a good time to season with some salt and pepper.
Okay.
Every layer when you're cooking, it's a good idea to season first on every layer and not just at the end. So I have a little salt here. I just use a little pinch of salt. Salt and pepper helps bring the natural flavors of any vegetables or any food that you're dealing with. So I have a little salt and pepper here.
Okay.
So I put it in. And
just regular salt, not sea salt?
You can use sea salt, absolutely. What I have here is just regular salt, but sea salt is recommended as well.
Okay.
I tend to use white pepper when I cook, but you can use coarse ground black pepper with this. You can use whatever you like. So I have the vegetables cooking. Now, as they start sweating, which takes a little bit, and while that's doing that, we're gonna pull out the ground beef and get it ready. I just have regular store-bought ground beef. I like to buy 80-20. If you want it to be a little more lean, you can buy 90-10.
Okay.
So I open up the package.
And about how much ground beef are you putting?
2 pounds of ground beef.
Okay.
This is a 4-pound package.
Okay.
So I'll use half of this.
All right.
And we'll put it in here. Now the vegetables are already sweating.
Okay. So you're just going to brown the beef then?
And we brown the beef.
Okay.
We take this, we have all the beef in here.
All right.
Done with this. Okay. Always use a bleach towel to clean your cutting board when dealing with meats. If you have 2 different cutting boards to use for the meat and vegetables, that's also highly recommended.
Okay.
I don't have the luxury to wash my hands here, so I have different gloves that I'm going to use each time I touch beef and vegetables.
Okay. Now, is this a recipe that your family has?
This is something that my mother has made.
Okay.
From the moment I was growing up.
Okay.
I was actually the little Greek kid in school
Right.
who would have moussaka,
Right.
and everybody else would be eating, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ham and cheese sandwiches. They made fun of me a little bit, but it's okay. They didn't know what they were missing. So we sit here and we brown the ground beef and the onions. So while this is browning, we are going to cut the vegetables for the moussaka.
All right.
So next we take the eggplant, which is primary ingredient in moussaka other than the meat and bechamel. So make sure all your vegetables are clean once you get them. I find the best place to find vegetables is the farmer's market. It's locally grown produce, which anytime you can buy anything that's fresh, I think fresh is one of the key things to making good food. It's not just how you prepare it, it's the quality of the product you're using. And luckily we're in an area here in Port Huron where there's a lot of rural communities and a lot of farming and a lot of fresh produce that we can get here that makes the dishes very,
and I know the farmers
well.
market runs through the 1st of October, so there's it's available all the way through
Right.
to early fall. So.
Right. So when I cut each end off of the eggplant, discarded it. Now I'm looking for about 1/2-inch slices. Doesn't have to be exact. If it's not right, as long as it's about 1/2 inch, you don't have to be exact.
The eggplant, you leave the peel on then, or?
The recipe calls for peeled, but my mother and our family recipe, we don't peel the eggplant, never have. A lot of the nutrients in a lot of vegetables are in the peel, the exterior of it. So as long as it's clean, I don't see any problem in using it. It's not tough, it's edible.
Okay.
Don't have a problem. So we cut this up and layer it. This is what we're gonna layer. This would be like what we would use for a noodle. Instead of a noodle and a lasagna, we're using vegetables.
Okay.
That was going to be the difference if you want to compare it to another dish that you might be more familiar with.
So all the vegetables you're using are the layered levels?
Yes,
then? Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Now, instead of just eggplant, you can also use potatoes. You can use zucchini. Combination of all of them. My mother's recipe usually calls for, we slice potatoes and we do eggplant. Potatoes are on the bottom because they're a little more firm, and it works well with the dish because when you scoop it out, you have a little firmer base. It doesn't slop around. But for the purpose of this demonstration, we're just going to use eggplant, which is more traditional.
Okay.
So we have now our eggplant, and we have to season the eggplant. We seasoned the ground beef. Now we have to season the eggplant, our next layering. So we have a little layer. And if you find any parts that are a little thicker, just feel free to even them out. We can use all these extra pieces as fill-in, as you'll see in a moment.
Okay. What size dish would you normally put this in, Nick?
I believe it's a 9 by 13 by 2 inch deep.
Okay, so kind of a lasagna
somewhere around there. It
type?
doesn't have to be exact, like a lasagna dish.
Okay.
The size of the dish doesn't really matter. You can adjust it, like a lasagna as it would be. It doesn't have to be a certain thickness.
Okay.
It's all what you want. That's
Okay.
the beauty of cooking. It doesn't have to be exactly what somebody else wants.
Okay.
So what I would do is I have a dish here. This is a dish, not exactly 9 by 13, but this is what I use at the Cavis Grill for
So
making
this is
lasagna.
a dish that you serve at Cavis Grill?
Absolutely. We do a Greek night once a month, the first Tuesday of every month. It's actually starting in October. Will be our first day. Every Tuesday, the second Tuesday of every month, we will do a Greek night. Moussaka will be one of the dishes, but we have plenty of dishes that we're working with. All traditional Greek dishes.
Recipe that you or menu that you come up with for
we
that
do.
night?
We have a special menus for that day. So what we do is I use olive oil even to grease my my baking dish here. I need paper towels. And
paper towels.
Yep. Anyways,
paper towels.
my brother took them.
Yep.
So what we do is I grease the baking dish. Paper towels, please. I grease it with olive oil. I spread it with some paper towel, which I'll do here in a second. In the meantime, on my cutting board, I season my eggplant with olive oil, salt, pepper, and I make sure I season both sides. So we have that there. Thank you for this. Yep. This is what I used. I clean paper towel, and it spreads the olive oil all around the pan.
If you don't have olive oil, what's a substitute?
You can use butter or like cooking grease, Crisco.
Okay.
But I like olive oil because it adds another layer of flavor. Even when if you can grease the pan with flavor, more the better. So now you take these. I don't have anywhere to grill them here, but you take them, grill them on your barbecue at home. Get a nice golden brown on the edge of these. You know, you season both sides.
Okay.
And then I'll show you what the finished product of that looks like right here.
Now, are you grilling all the vegetables or just the eggplant?
All the vegetables will get grilled to like softened and to the point where you can eat them right there if you like. Add a little balsamic vinegar.
Okay.
And that's what it'll be. So now we layer the eggplant in the bottom of the dish. We layer the eggplant like this. Okay. This is eggplant that I have already prepared. As you can see, a little golden brown and cooked through, and it's seasoned. We layer it through. We take I already have some ground beef here that is already finished.
Okay.
We take the ground beef that's already finished. When the ground beef is finished, this is what it will look like. It'll look a little orange in color. Actually, I haven't finished showing you how to do the ground beef. When the ground beef is burnt, is getting golden, is getting brown in this dish. I forgot to show you how to finish the ground beef, so I'm going to show you right now. We don't have time to finish it browning now, but what you do is you take tomato sauce, which you can buy anywhere in the store. Use half a cup for this recipe. Half a cup of tomato sauce goes right into the recipe, along with half a cup of red wine. And you put that in there as well. That's about half a cup. And you put it down here.
Do you share that with yourself?
I do share it with myself. I have a little shot for myself when I have a little bit to drink. So we put it in here, and now we let it simmer for 25 minutes. Once it simmers for 25 minutes, that is when it looks like this.
Okay.
A little orange,
okay.
Orange color. It's got all the flavor in it.
Okay.
So now what I do is I take the ground beef and I put it in here and I layer it across the eggplant. This is a little cold now because it's been out here in the fridge for a while.
Okay.
What we'll do is we layer it in the pan.
Okay.
Normally it spreads a little better when it's warm. And we spread it around like that. At this time is when we take another opportunity to season.
Okay.
Take some Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
Season it through there. We do another layer of eggplant.
Okay.
And we go through there like this. Another layer of eggplant. Through. So now it should seem very similar to everybody. It's like building a lasagna.
Building a lasagna,
like
exactly.
building a lasagna.
Okay.
Some more ground beef. Take all the ground beef.
All right.
Spread it around nice and even. And then at this point, season with a little bit more Parmesan cheese.
Okay. And then when do all these other vegetables come into play? Is this all
this is the only vegetables you use for this dish. Some of those other vegetables are for our next dish that we're going to prepare.
All right, great.
Now, really quickly, I'll show you how to make the bechamel sauce. Doesn't take any time at all. Bechamel sauce, you put a pan on the stove. We'll move this to the side a little bit. 3 tablespoons of butter. And then we'll also do 9 tablespoons of flour. That's the ratio I use, 3 to 1. It's not the same. We're making a roux here. And when making a roux, you usually use equal amounts flour and butter.
Okay, and a roux, what is that?
A roux is a thickening agent.
Okay.
And that's how we're going to build our cream.
Okay.
And so we have that. You stir this until it gets crumbly. Your roux is going to look a little crumbly. It's going to look like wet crumbs in here. Once you have this done, you're going to take your milk. You're going to add
And
4 cups of milk, whole milk.
Okay.
Whole milk for this.
Okay.
So you add 4 cups of milk. And once we're there, you got to be careful with this. You can't leave the stove. This is the one important part that you can't really leave the stove with.
Okay.
You got to keep stirring. This is another opportunity to add some salt, some pepper, and another key ingredient to this is nutmeg.
Oh.
Nutmeg and rue is what gives it the real nice flavor.
Okay.
So we're cooking with this. Now you just keep stirring it, stirring it, stirring it. Never leave.
Okay.
You'll watch it thicken. As soon as it comes to a boil,
Okay.
and it's at its proper thickening, you take it off the stove. Now I have a prepared version here, the bechamel sauce.
Now it looks like you're cooking like your mom, you said, destroying everything. She never measures anything.
You do it enough
That's a
times, you don't have to.
professional, right?
So your bechamel sauce will look like this. This is a little thicker than it normally would look because it's not quite the temperature.
Okay.
And you just pour it on top of the moussaka, or what will be the moussaka, and you spread it around.
Okay.
And you spread it around, covering, being careful not to mix up the meat, and just spread it nice and even
Okay.
across here.
And it's a little
and then
harder
it's
with
a
the
little
meat
hard
being
now
cool.
with the temperature that we're dealing
Right.
with out here today. But anyways, you take that out. That is your finished product. And then we will have a finished product over here at the table for everybody to sample.
Great.
You throw this in the oven for 350 degrees for an hour.
Okay.
And as soon as it gets golden brown on the top, you're done.
All right, fantastic.
Simple.
Thanks, Nick. Everyone in the audience today is going to receive a sample of the dish along with a recipe to take home. We do have recipes available if you're not here viewing with us today and you're at home watching at the Port Huron Hospital website, which is www.porthuronhospital.org, along with the Downtown Port Huron website, which is www.downtownporthuron.org. We're going to take a quick break right now. Nick's going to get his ingredients together for our next recipe, which is hummus. So if you would please stay with us and join us back again at What's Cooking at the Market with Port Huron Hospital.
Thank you. Time went by. Holy smokes.
Kids are screaming for ice cream. I have a healthy alternative to the regular ice cream. And what I have, it's a yogurt parfait. And it's a low fat, or you can use no fat yogurt. A little bit of fresh fruit in there, another layer of yogurt, and a little more fresh fruit on top, and just a little bit of whipped cream. And you can serve it just like that, or another way to do it is you can mix it up, put a spoon in it or a pretzel rod, put it in the freezer, it comes out just like a popsicle. So for more healthy recipe ideas, you can go to porthuronhospital.org/recipe.
Welcome back to part 2 of What's Cooking at the Market. I'm Sarah Tate with Port Huron Hospital. We're here at Vantage Point Farmers Market with our celebrity chef, Nick Cavis from Cavis's Grill. In our first segment, we made a dish called moussaka.
Moussaka. You got it. Yeah.
Our next dish is going to be hummus, and Nick is going to walk us through a process of hummus. Hummus is a very easy, simple dish, but what we were talking about before is that it's so much better sometimes to make these things at home, prepare it yourself instead of buying it through the store. So
I think it's better to make anything that you can yourself, make it yourself. When things are prepackaged, they put preservatives in them, they put things that you don't want in them. When you can make them at home, you can control the ingredients and what you're going to eat and whatever you put in your body. And I think a lot of things that causes us to be unhealthy are preservatives, things they put in food that you don't know, fillers. When you make food at home, you can avoid everything like that by, you know exactly what you're putting into your dish. You can come to the farmer's market here, buy some fruits, veggies that you know are grown locally, that you know are taken proper care of when they're grown. And we don't have this Dr. Oz controversy that everybody's talking about,
That's right.
where we're getting our apples from.
Right.
Get them from your backyard. They sell them right here in our farmer's market, and then you don't have to worry about anything.
Yep.
So hummus is something that I do at my restaurant. I've been doing it for about a year now, and I'm starting to tinker with it. I have my own recipes, my own little ways of doing it. What we're doing here is a Greek hummus. It's not exactly what I serve at our restaurant, but it's very similar, and it's something that's excellent that you can dip vegetables in, get children to eat some vegetables, dip it in some hummus, has a ton of flavor, very healthy for you, lots of protein. I think there's a lot of positive things from hummus. Doesn't take many ingredients, maybe one difficult ingredient to find. Every grocery store has it. You just have to find it in the grocery store. That would be tahini paste, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll get started making the hummus.
Sounds great. And now that it's football season and tailgating, it's also a great thing to maybe take to something like that.
Absolutely. Hummus holds very well. You can freeze it, you can refrigerate it. You can keep it out for a little period of time as well. It's very simple, doesn't take a lot of time to make, and I just wanted to show people how simple it is because a lot of people don't realize how quickly you can make some hummus.
Okay, let's get started.
We'll start off. The main ingredient in hummus is chickpeas. So what I do is I go buy a 15-ounce can of chickpeas.
Which you can get anywhere, any
you
grocery
can get
store?
anywhere. Chickpeas or garbanzo beans. I guess garbanzo is a lot more fun to say.
Okay.
So these are garbanzo beans. So what we do is I open the garbanzo beans. And I open them halfway. I drain the liquid out, keeps all the garbanzo beans in, then I continue to open it all the way. This one I've already drained the liquid out of. So we'll deal with this. If the top doesn't come out just perfect, you can just lift it with a knife or a spoon. Dump that into your food processor, which is something that you need to do this. You can do it in a blender, but a food processor works better. It doesn't bog it down. So the garbanzo beans is the first main ingredient.
Okay.
Next main ingredient, which is the difficult thing to get, is tahini paste.
Okay.
Tahini paste is basically ground sesame seed. It smells like peanut butter, very similar to peanut butter.
Where do you suggest finding this? Can you
I
get it
buy it
at
at Kroger. You can get it at Kroger,
Okay.
Meyer, but a lot of times they don't know exactly where it is.
Okay.
But it's in the Arabic food area.
Okay.
You'll find it with a little help. You can find hummus,
Okay.
and this lasts very well. This will last in your fridge for a long time, just like
Okay.
peanut butter. It lasts a very long time.
Okay.
So we have here
Now
for
you
this recipe. I stir it up a little bit because it's kind of like real peanut butter where it gets that little film on the top.
Okay.
You have to stir it up, get it nice and mixed. And we're doing 2 full tablespoons of tahini paste in here.
Okay.
So that's 1 tablespoon.
And you said that you're putting a Greek twist on this, and I know that you're promoting a Greek night at the restaurant. Is that right?
I am. I'm of Greek heritage. The Cavis Grill has been in my family for 51 years. My father opened it 51 years ago.
Okay.
And now my mother and I are taking care of it and running the business. And now I'm trying to put a little Greek twist, put a little of my heritage, which I'm very proud of, into the restaurant. And so I figured a Greek night once every month is what we're going to do. The second Tuesday of every month, we're going to do Greek night.
Okay.
We're going to do moussaka, which we cooked earlier. We'll always be there.
Okay.
We'll always have a hummus every Greek night. We'll
So you'll
always
have a special menu. that
special
night?
menu.
And is it for the whole day or just evening?
For the
time?
whole day, for a variety of
Okay.
Greek items.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
So we'll continue. We have the hummus and the chickpeas in here now. Next, I'd like to season it. We season it, everything with salt and pepper. Everything I do gets minimal salt and pepper in it. Salt and pepper helps bring out the flavor of whatever you're cooking with. So I make sure I season. A little pinch of salt. If you really want to measure, it'd probably be a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe even a little less. Maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon.
And again, with this, could you alternate with sea salt? I know a lot of people like cooking with that.
If people
so-
love sea salt, sea salt works excellent in this. So salt and pepper is what we use. I use white pepper in this because you don't want the cracked black pepper looks gritty. You can still do it, it'll work fine. But I like using white pepper, it kind of blends in and gives it a smoother texture.
Okay.
Next, we are going to take some garlic. We have some garlic clove here. We'll take some garlic off. Move it to the side.
Now, is there a right or wrong way to cut garlic? Because that's always a mystery.
The key is to try and get it apart. It depends
Okay.
how fresh the garlic is. If it's really fresh like this, it's really difficult to get apart.
Right.
Once you get it to this point, what I find best is you take the flat side of your knife, or
Okay.
if you're kind of nervous doing this, you can take your measuring cups.
Okay.
But what I do is I take the flat side of the knife, I hammer it down, and when you smash it down, all the waste, what you don't want, the little peel,
Okay.
comes right off.
Okay.
Then it has a little end on it, I cut right off.
All right. Do you suggest fresh garlic like this, or is there? Can you? From
I wouldn't use a garlic.
store-bought?
I wouldn't use a garlic powder. But if
Okay.
they have fresh store bought that's like kept in oil or
Chopped.
water,
Okay.
you can use like 1/2 teaspoon in this would be fine.
Okay.
So what I do, I like using fresh. Whatever I can use fresh, I use fresh.
Okay.
So we just chop it up as small as possible. We just mince it down. And what we do is once it's minced, this is another little secret when you deal with garlic, put a little salt on it.
Okay.
And it makes a little abrasiveness.
Okay.
And now you just kind of smash it into your cutting board.
Oh.
You chop it, and it forms a little paste. You just smash it in your cutting board with the
Okay.
salt. And it forms a little paste, and it's easier to break down in the food processor.
Okay.
So now, we take the garlic, we put it in the food processor, and we are left with, we have the salt, pepper, garlic, tahini paste, and garbanzo beans. Next, we have the lemon.
Okay.
The juice of 1 lemon. When you take a lemon, smush it down a little bit and roll it back and forth. What this does is it breaks down all the fibers in the lemon and it allows for more juice to come out.
Okay.
Cut the lemon in half. And then I have a little cup here on the side where I squeeze the lemon juice into, because when you're dealing with fresh ingredients, you're going to get things like seeds.
Okay.
Seeds are something that you don't want in your hummus.
And how much lemon juice do you want to try to get out of that?
I want as much as you can.
Okay.
Just the juice of 1 lemon.
Okay.
And as with everything else when you cook, you want to tailor it to your taste buds. So what you do is you taste the hummus when it's done, and if it needs a little adjustment with seasoning, some more lemon juice, some more olive oil, some more salt or pepper, you can
Okay.
adjust it at that
Okay.
time. So everybody's taste buds are a little different.
Okay.
I'm a Greek guy. I
Yep.
love lemon.
Grew up with it.
You can never get enough lemon in there for
Right.
me. So now what I do is I strain it through my fingers to catch any seeds. So any seeds that go in, I just don't let them fall through my fingers. And now you have seedless lemon juice in
Now,
your...
a lot of your techniques, are those family learned or school learned or both?
They're actually learned from working at the restaurant.
Yep.
Some things my mother told me and other things I found out work really well.
Right.
You find ways to avoid problems.
Right.
So things like the lemon, instead of picking seeds of lemon out of here for the next 10 minutes, I
Right.
figured that's a lot quicker. So that's what we do now.
Okay.
And now we have everything in our hummus that we need that we're going to start pulsing it together.
Okay.
What we have here is all the machines you have that have some sort of opening that you can pour something in. What we're going to do is we're going to turn the machine on, and as the machine's pulsing the hummus mixture, we're going to add olive oil.
Okay.
Now you're just going to drizzle the olive oil until it comes to the consistency that you want.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to start with right now. Put your hand on the top unless you want everything on your ceiling in your
Okay.
home when you start it. So we start it. I just put it on high,
Okay.
and now we have that in there. We can start drizzling olive oil. So we just drizzle olive oil until it gets to a nice consistency that we are familiar with.
Okay.
You can stop it. You can stop it, open it up, get a closer look of what you're working with now, because
Okay.
it's kind of hard to see through this sometimes. Take your spatula, scrape the sides down to help incorporate a little better.
Okay.
And at this point, you can judge, do you need a little more olive oil? And I would say, I think we need a little bit more.
Okay.
Take this.
And you're wanting it to be more of a smoother consistency?
It's
is
a
it?
little smooth, yeah.
Yep.
You want it smooth, and you want it a little thicker, so you have to really try to get it off
Right.
a spoon.
Okay.
So what we do is we pulse this. Put a little more olive oil in so we can get it right where we want it. Basically, the hummus is done right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to find things to dip in the hummus. You can take bread, grill some pita bread on your barbecue outside. A little more healthy choice and things that I like to do is take vegetables. Vegetables like your red pepper, green pepper. It's always difficult to incorporate these into snacks. I think
Okay.
hummus makes the best snack that you can possibly get. It's definitely one of the healthiest. Make sure all your vegetables are washed. We got these vegetables from our farmer's market right
Yep.
here in Port Huron. Put them flat side down so they don't roll around on you, and you just cut them into little strips. That's as easy as it is. Just cut it into little strips. And you do that with each vegetable. You do that with vegetables. Can I get one of those white plates, please? Thank you.
So all around, this is a really healthy, low-calorie.
Absolutely.
Snack
Low calorie,
or-
high protein.
You can even make a meal
Great.
out of
You
it.
can do whatever you want. You
Sure.
can take cucumbers. You can slice up the cucumbers. You can put them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, carrots goes very well with some hummus. Take some carrots, slice it up as well. I slice them in half, make sure it's a nice flat surface. This carrot's already been peeled. This is bought from the farmer's market as well.
Okay.
And we just slice it down so you can get little sticks that you can dip in the hummus. And so do this. And cucumber is also one of the great things.
Okay.
When you're dealing with cucumber, what you have to remember is normally you would peel a cucumber. We're
Right.
not going to do it for this demonstration, but I want to show you inside when you get cucumbers, you want to seed them.
Okay.
Either buy an English seedless cucumber,
Right.
or in this case, I didn't have one of those available. You just, you basically cut around the seeds. You keep rolling it around
Oh.
and all the meaty parts around the outside of the cucumber, and then you just throw the seeds out. It's
a
still good to
great
eat,
trick. Yeah.
but that's
Right.
that's how you would do it. And normally this would be peeled. And you take your cucumber, and that's something that you can dip in the hummus as well.
Right.
Now, something that I have forgot to put in the hummus, which happens to a lot of people, and that's okay. We still have the hummus left in here. We take some fresh parsley
Okay.
and some fresh oregano.
Okay. Which is, again, stuff that you can buy right down here at the farmer's market.
Absolutely. So here we have 1 sprig of fresh parsley.
Now, if you don't have fresh, what?
You can use dried, but normally
okay.
when you use dried, you'd like to use half the amount that you use when fresh. Dried,
Okay.
dried is a little more potent.
Okay.
Just give it a little rough chop.
All right.
Throw that in your hummus. You give it a blend. Doesn't take long, just enough to get incorporated.
Okay.
That's the beauty about this stuff. Doesn't take long at all. It's literally that easy.
Fantastic. Gives it a little color, too.
Gives it a little color and a lot of flavor. And if you let hummus sit for about an hour, or put it in the fridge for about an hour, all the flavors incorporate a little better. And you can just set it right down like this. Now, the Greek twist on this, other than the oregano, which normally isn't found in hummus, the Greek twist comes from Kalamata olives.
Okay.
Kalamata olives are imported from Greece. These are pitted Kalamata olives. I love the flavor of these olives, and I think the flavor of olives goes well with hummus. That's what we garnished it with at the
Okay.
Cavis grill. So all you do is give a little rough chop. Now you can either mix this in with the hummus
Okay.
by putting that in a bowl and just tossing it.
Okay.
It's not favorable to mix it in with the in the food processor,
Okay.
because it'll change the color.
Okay.
But what I like to do is sort of garnish it with
Oh,
olives.
that looks great.
And then you just take it, you dip it in there,
Fantastic.
and that's what you're dealing with.
Nick, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us today, introducing us to Cavis. Don't forget the Greek night down at Cavis's Grill. Again, just to let you all know, all of the audience members today will be sampling the dish that we prepared here, the hummus. Recipes along with the dish will be available. For those of you viewing, you can obtain the recipes at the Port Huron Hospital website, which again is www.porthuronhospital.org, or the Downtown Port Huron website, www.downtownporthuron.org. This show will be viewed on Channel 6 throughout the week and also available on YouTube. You can get to the link for YouTube at the Port Huron Hospital website. Don't forget to join us next week, Saturday, 11 o'clock, when Rochelle Schiller, Director of Care Management at Port Huron Hospital, will be joining Chef Jay Lyon from the Military Street Cafe. Jay and Rochelle are going to be making a Hawaiian salad and a jumbo cheese pretzel. So have a great week, stay healthy, and join us again next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you again.